It was a quiet night in a small town. The streets were empty, the houses dark, and only the wind moved through the trees. Inside a small house at the edge of the town lived a young man named Daniel. His life was simple, almost too simple. Every day felt the same. Work, eat, sleep, repeat. Tonight was different, though. Tonight was his birthday. Daniel sat alone in his room, a small cake on the table in front of him. A single candle burned slowly. The flame shook in the still air, as if it also felt lonely. He sighed and looked at his phone. No calls, no messages. No one had remembered. Not family. Not friends. Not even old coworkers. He blew out the candle and whispered to himself, "Happy birthday, Daniel." His voice sounded empty in the silence of the room. But then, something happened at first. It was small. A strange vibration ran through the air. The glass of water on his table shook just a little. He thought maybe it was a truck passing outside. But the sound grew stronger. A low hum, like 1,000 bees hidden in the distance. Daniel stood up and walked to the window. His street was empty, but the sky above was not. A bright light streaked across the stars. It was not like any plane, not like any shooting star he had seen before. This light moved with purpose, as if it was searching. The ground under his feet trembled. His heart beat faster. He whispered, "What is that?" The light grew brighter, closer, until the night sky was almost white. Daniel shielded his eyes, but he could not look away. The sound became a roar, then silence, heavy silence. The kind that makes the air feel too thick to breathe. And then came the crash. From the woods behind his house, a deep explosion shook the earth. Birds screamed into the sky. The window glass rattled, and the candle on his table fell and died. Daniel's body shook with fear and curiosity at the same time. For a long moment, he stood frozen. His mind screamed at him to stay inside, to lock the doors. But something inside him, something he could not explain, pushed him forward. He had to see. He had to know. Grabbing a flashlight, he stepped out into the night. The air smelled of smoke and burning metal. The wind carried strange sparks of light, glowing like fireflies, but moving too fast. Two sharp dots at his feet carried him toward the woods. Every step felt heavy, yet he could not stop. Branches cracked under his shoes, and shadows twisted between the trees. The deeper he went, the louder the sound became, again a soft hum. Not of this world. Finally, he saw it in a small clearing lay something that did not belong to earth. A pod. Half buried in the ground, glowing faintly with blue light. Its surface was smooth and silver, almost alive. Steam rose from cracks in the metal, and symbols, strange and glowing, moved across its skin. Daniel's mouth went dry. His heart pounded. He whispered, "This isn't real." But it was real. The pod shifted, a hiss escaping like the breath of a giant beast. And then a sound came. A voice, soft, gentle, female. "Daniel." He froze. His blood turned cold. How did it know his name? The pod opened slowly, light pouring out like the sun trapped in a box. Inside, he saw a figure. A woman. But not like any woman he had ever seen. Her skin glowed faintly, like silver touched with starlight. Her eyes shone deep blue, brighter than sapphires. Her hair moved like liquid, flowing even though there was no wind. She was beautiful, unbelievably beautiful, and she was looking straight at him. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He could not move, could not think. His flashlight slipped from his hand and fell to the ground, forgotten. The woman stepped out of the pod. Her feet touched the earth, but it was like the earth itself bowed under her presence. She moved closer, her eyes never leaving his. "Daniel," she whispered again. Her voice soft but clear, as if she had always known him. He tried to speak, but no words came. He wanted to ask who she was, why she was here, how she knew his name. But all he could do was stare. She reached out her hand, her fingers glowing faintly with light. He felt a strange warmth spread through his chest, as if her touch could heal all the loneliness he had ever felt. Then she said the words that froze him in place. "I was sent." For you, the forest was silent. The night was still. The only sound was his heartbeat, racing louder than ever before. Daniel stood in the clearing, staring at the impossible. On the night of his forgotten birthday, the universe itself had remembered him, and it had sent her. The clearing was still glowing when Daniel tried to breathe again. The strange pod hissed softly, like it was alive, like it was waiting. The woman stood just outside of it, her silver skin reflecting the pale moonlight. She looked at him as if she had known him forever. Her voice was calm, soft, but carried power. "You are Daniel," she said. Not a question. A fact. Daniel's lips moved, but no sound came out. His throat felt dry. Finally, he managed to whisper, "Who are you?" The woman tilted her head, her long hair flowing around her like liquid night. "I am a gift," she said. Her words were simple, but they felt heavy, almost dangerous. Daniel frowned. A gift. She took a step closer. He wanted to step back, but his feet would not move. Her presence was overwhelming, like standing too close to fire. Yet he did not want to run. "Yes," she said. "I was sent." "For you?" The words from before echoed in his head. He felt his heart hammering harder, the sound filling his ears. Nobody had ever given him a gift this strange. Nobody had ever remembered his birthday. "Why me?" he asked, his voice shaking. The woman's glowing eyes softened, as if she pitied him. "Because you were chosen." Her answer did not make sense. Chosen? By who? For what? His mind raced with 100 questions, but his mouth could not catch them all. He stared at her, waiting, hoping for more. She stepped closer again, close enough now that he could see details on her skin. Tiny lights like stars moved slowly under the surface. She was not just glowing, she carried the universe inside her. "Do not be afraid," she said gently. "I will not hurt you." Her words calmed him, but not completely. His hands trembled. "I don't understand. How do you know my name? How do you know me?" She blinked slowly, almost human, almost not. "Your name was given to me. Your face was shown to me. You were marked long ago." Daniel's stomach twisted. By who? The woman looked back at the pod, then at him. For the first time, her calm face showed a shadow of fear. "Not all answers are safe," she whispered. "Not yet." The pod behind her made another sound, a low pulse, like a heartbeat. The symbols on its surface glowed brighter for a moment, then faded. She looked at it with something that looked like sadness. "It is dying," she said softly. "I cannot go back." Daniel stared at her. "You mean you're stuck here? On Earth?" She nodded once, slowly. "With you?" Those two words cut through the night. Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. With him? A beautiful alien woman, glowing like the stars, stranded on Earth. With him, it almost sounded like a dream, but it was real. To real, the silence stretched between them, broken only by the soft hum of the dying pod. Finally, Daniel found his voice. "What's your name?" She looked at him carefully, as if the question mattered more than he realized. Then, with a faint smile, she said, "Liara." The name rolled from her lips like music. Soft and strange. "Liara?" Daniel repeated it in his mind. Liara. It felt powerful. Important. Suddenly, the pod behind her sparked again. A flash of light shot into the sky, and Daniel felt his skin crawl, like static electricity pressing against him. Liara turned quickly, her glowing eyes narrowing. "They will know," she whispered. Daniel's heart stopped. Who will know? She turned back to him, her face calm again, but her eyes burning brighter. "Others. The ones who search. The ones who sent me. They will feel the signal. They will come." The words filled Daniel with cold fear. She was not just a gift. She was a secret, a target. If someone or something was coming for her, then they would come here. To him, Liara saw the fear on his face. She reached out, her glowing hand brushing against his arm. Warmth spread through his body, chasing away the chill. "Do not fear, Daniel," she said softly. "I will protect you." Her touch was gentle, but the promise in her voice was strong. Daniel stared at her, his thoughts a storm. His life had been empty only hours ago. No one remembered his birthday. He had been nothing, invisible, and now an alien woman stood before him, saying she was his gift, saying she would protect him. It was madness. It was impossible. And yet, it was happening. As the night deepened, the pod behind them grew dim, its light fading away into darkness. Liara stood close to him, her eyes glowing like twin stars in the shadows. Daniel felt his world shifting, changing. He was no longer alone. He was no longer forgotten. But deep in his chest, he knew one thing for sure. This was only the beginning. The night felt different after the pod went dark. The clearing no longer glowed with blue light. Only the moon and the stars remained above them, watching silently. Liara stood close to Daniel, her silver skin catching the faint moonlight. She did not look afraid, but she did look lost. Daniel swallowed hard. You can't go back, can you?" Liara shook her head slowly. Her glowing eyes dimmed, softer now, almost sad. "The pod is broken. My path home is gone." Daniel did not know what to say. A part of him wanted to scream, to tell her this was insane. Another part of him wanted to laugh. How could this be real? A woman from the stars stuck here with him. Instead, he whispered, "So, what happens now?" Liara tilted her head, studying him as if he was more alien than she was. Then she said something he did not expect. "Teach me." Daniel blinked. "Teach you what?" "Your world, your ways, your life," Liara said. Her voice was calm, but there was something deep behind it. "I must learn to live here. And I must learn to understand. You." The words made Daniel's heart skip. No one had ever asked to understand him before. No one had ever even tried. He gave a nervous laugh. "Well, I don't know if I'm the best teacher." Liara stepped closer. So close he could see tiny lights moving under her skin like constellations. "You are the only one," she said simply. Daniel looked away, embarrassed. He wasn't used to anyone looking at him like that, with trust, with focus, with need. The walk back to his house was quiet. The forest seemed to whisper around them, as if the trees themselves were watching. Daniel led the way, flashlight in hand, while Alara walked beside him, her glowing presence making the shadows flee. When they reached the house, Daniel opened the door slowly. "It's small," he said quickly, as if apologizing. "But it's safe." Liara stepped inside, her eyes moving over everything: the couch, the table, the half-eaten cake still sitting there. She touched the edge of the table gently, almost reverently, as if even simple wood was something sacred. "What is this?" she asked, pointing to the cake. Daniel laughed softly. "It's my birthday cake." Lyra's glowing eyes narrowed slightly. "Birthday. It's the day you were born. People usually celebrate with friends, with family." But he looked down at the lonely candle. Not everyone has someone to celebrate with. For a moment, Liara said nothing. Then she picked up the candle held it between her glowing fingers, and whispered, "Then I will celebrate you." Daniel froze. Her words were simple, but they hit deeper than anything he had ever heard. Liara placed the candle back on the cake, lit it with a spark from her glowing fingertip, and looked at him. "Close your eyes. Make a wish." His throat tightened. Slowly, Daniel closed his eyes, for the first time in years. He made a wish not for money, not for success, but for something he had never truly had: companionship. When he opened his eyes again, Liara was watching him with a soft, strange smile. "Your wish is safe," she said. Daniel blew out the candle, his chest heavy but warm. The night stretched on. Liara asked many questions about the pictures on his wall, about the strange box that showed moving images, the television, about the glowing device he carried in his hand, his phone closing. Daniel answered patiently, though sometimes awkwardly. Every word made him feel less like a forgotten shadow and more like someone who mattered. At one point, she reached for his phone, pressing her glowing hand against it. The screen flickered, then filled with strange patterns, symbols Daniel had never seen. "Hey, careful," he said, pulling it back. Liara tilted her head. "Your machines are simple, fragile, but they hold much of your world inside them." Daniel nodded. "Yeah, everything's inside these little screens now." She looked at him with curious eyes. "And yet, you are alone." The words cut deep, but she had said them without cruelty. Just truth. Daniel looked away, unable to meet her gaze. "I guess people forget each other sometimes." Liara moved closer. "I will not forget you." The room went silent. Daniel felt his chest tighten again, his heartbeat loud in his ears. He wanted to believe her. He wanted to believe every word, but before he could speak, a faint hum passed through the walls. Not from his house. From outside, Liara's eyes narrowed instantly. Her body tensed. "What is it?" Daniel asked, fear creeping back into his voice. She stepped toward the window, her glowing eyes searching the darkness beyond. "They are moving. They are closer than I thought." Daniel's breath caught. Who's closer?" Liara turned back to him. Her calm face was gone now, replaced by something sharper, more urgent. "The hunters," she said. The hum outside grew stronger, like a storm rolling in, though the night sky above was clear. Daniel pressed his ear to the window, but all he heard was a faint vibration, low and steady, almost alive. Liara stood very still, her glowing eyes scanning the darkness. She did not move, did not breathe, as if listening with something far deeper than ears. "They are searching," she whispered. Daniel's chest tightened. "Who? Hunters?" "Like you said." Liara nodded slowly. "Not like me. Different. Cruel? They will not come with gifts. They will come with chains." Daniel swallowed hard. His house, his street, his entire quiet life suddenly felt paper-thin, fragile. He had always thought danger was something far away in the news, in movies, in stories. But now it was outside his window, hunting something. Or someone. Inside his home, he stepped back. We should hide, right? Lock the doors, turn off the lights." Lyra's glowing eyes flicked toward him. "Locks will not stop them. Doors will not hide you. They can feel the trace of my landing." Daniel's skin prickled. "Then what do we do?" Liara turned from the window and faced him. Her face was calm, but her voice was sharp, urgent. "We must move before they arrive. Your home is not safe." Daniel looked around at his small living room, at the pictures on the wall, the couch where he sometimes fell asleep, the table with the cake still sitting on it. This was his world, ordinary, dull, but his. The thought of leaving it behind, of stepping into danger with this glowing stranger, felt unreal. "Wait," he said quickly, his voice trembling. "I don't even know you. I don't know what you are or why you're here. Why should I trust you?" For the first time since she had stepped from the pod, Leora's face changed. A shadow of pain crossed her glowing features. She moved closer, her voice lower, softer. "Because if you stay, you will die." The words were not a threat. They were a truth. And Daniel felt them deep in his bones. The hum outside grew louder. The floor under his feet seemed to vibrate. Lyra's head snapped toward the window again. "Too late," she whispered. "They are near." Daniel's pulse raced. "Who are they?" "Aliens like you." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "They are soldiers. Machines of flesh and steel. They were made to capture, not to question." Daniel's mind spun. Soldiers, machines of flesh and steel. The words felt impossible, but the terror in her voice was real. The light bulb above them flickered. Then it went out. The house plunged into darkness. Daniel gasped, stumbling backward. Liara raised her hand, and her skin glowed brighter, bathing the room in silver light. The glow was soft, but it was enough to see the fear on Daniel's face. The sound outside grew sharper now, like claws dragging against metal. A faint hiss moved through the air, followed by a clicking sound steady, inhuman. Hunting. Daniel's breath caught. "They're here." Leora's hand touched his arm. Warmth spread through him, calming his panic just enough to think. "You must trust me," she said firmly. "If we run now, we live. If we stay, we are theirs." Daniel looked into her glowing eyes. Something inside him, something deep and quiet, told him she was right. But before he could speak, the window cracked. A thin line spread across the glass, glowing faintly. Daniel stumbled back, his heart pounding. Leora's eyes blazed. "Move," she ordered. She pulled him toward the back door, her strength surprising, her touch almost pulling him off the ground. They ran into the night, the cold air biting their skin. Behind them, the window shattered. Daniel turned just long enough to see a shape moving inside his house. Tall, dark, its body bent at strange angles, glowing veins running across its arms. Its head was smooth, featureless, except for two sharp lights burning like knives. He choked on his breath. What is that?" Liara didn't answer. She pulled him harder, guiding him into the trees. The forest swallowed them, branches snapping under their feet. Daniel's lungs burned, but fear pushed him forward. Every sound, the crunch of leaves, the whistle of wind, felt like a predator breathing down his neck. Finally, Liara stopped in a small hollow, hidden by thick trees. She held a finger to her lips. Daniel bent over, gasping, his chest on fire. The night was silent again, too silent, then, faintly, came the clicking sound. Closer, moving between the trees. Leora's eyes glowed brighter, her body tense. "They can smell the heat of life. They will not stop." Daniel's voice cracked. "Then what do we do?" "We can't keep running forever." Liara looked at him, her expression unreadable. "You asked why you should trust me." Daniel nodded, fear still shaking his hands. She leaned closer, her glowing face inches from his. "Because I am not only your gift, I am your shield." And with those words, she raised her hand. The air around them shimmered, bending like glass. A soft bubble of light formed, wrapping them both in a strange, protective glow. Outside, the clicking grew louder. Shadows moved between the trees. One of the hunters stepped into the clearing, its glowing eyes cutting through the dark. Daniel held his breath, praying they would not be seen. The creature paused. The forest no longer felt alive. It felt like a trap. The branches above seemed to twist, closing in, and the shadows stretched longer than they should. Daniel's breath came fast, fogging in the cold night air. Beside him, Lyra's glow dimmed, as if she was trying not to be seen. "They are spreading," she whispered. Her voice was low, urgent. "Not one. Many." Daniel's chest tightened. "How many?" Lyra tilted her head, listening to something Daniel could not hear. Her glowing eyes narrowed. 3? No, 4. They move like hunters. They surround us. Daniel's knees almost gave out. 4 of those things. He had seen only one inside his house, and that alone had nearly stopped his heart. We can't fight them. We'll die." Liara placed her hand on his arm, steadying him. "Then we do not fight." We move, and they ran. The forest exploded with sound. The clicking of the hunters echoed between the trees, sharp and fast, like metal teeth snapping together. Branches cracked as shadows moved behind them. The hunters did not stumble, did not slow. They moved with precision, cold and steady. Daniel's lungs burned, but fear carried him forward. His shoes slipped on the wet ground, but Liara's grip pulled him up again and again. Her movements were strange graceful, almost floating, while his were clumsy, desperate. "Left!" Liara shouted suddenly. Daniel turned, nearly crashing into a tree. A sharp beam of red light cut across where he had been standing, slicing through the dark like a blade. The ground hissed as the beam burned into the soil. He gasped. "What was that?" "Trackers," Liara said, pulling him onward. "They mark. They burn." The clicking grew louder behind them. Daniel risked a glance and saw 2 shadows moving quickly, too quickly. Their glowing veins pulsed brighter with every step, their sharp lights cutting through the dark. "They're gaining." Daniel cried. Liara stopped suddenly. Daniel stumbled into her, nearly falling. She raised her glowing hands, and the air shimmered again, bending like glass. For a moment, the hunters slowed, tilting their heads as if confused. But then one of them raised an arm. A metallic claw extended, glowing with a pulse of sick red light. It swung forward, and the shield Liara had formed cracked like thin ice. Liara gasped, stumbling back. "Too strong." She whispered. Daniel grabbed her hand. "Then run." They bolted again, breaking through the trees into a wide clearing. The moon shone above, bathing the grass in silver light. For one moment, Daniel thought they had escaped. Then the ground shook from the shadows of the trees. 2 more hunters stepped into the clearing. Their tall, twisted forms gleamed with black metal. Their glowing eyes locked on Daniel and Liara. Behind them, the other 2 emerged. For in total, Daniel froze. His heart pounded so loud it drowned everything else. They were surrounded. "This is it," he whispered. But Liara's eyes blazed brighter. "No, this is not the end." She stepped forward, her hands glowing stronger than before. Light spread across her skin like fire, sharp and beautiful. For the first time, Daniel saw not just fear in her but power. The hunters clicked louder, their bodies twitching unnaturally as they closed in. Liara said without looking back, "Stay behind me. Whatever happens, do not let go." Daniel clenched his fists, trembling. "What are you going to do?" Liara raised her arms, her glow surging brighter, so bright Daniel had to shield his eyes. "Remind them," she said. "I am not prey." The clearing erupted with light. A wave of energy burst from Liara, slamming into the hunters. The ground shook, trees bent, and Daniel felt the force ripple through his bones. 2 hunters were thrown back, crashing into the trees with a metallic scream. Sparks burst from their bodies. The other 2 staggered but did not fall. They dug their claws into the soil, dragging themselves forward. Lyra's glow flickered. She gasped, her knees shaking. Daniel grabbed her arm, steadying her. "Stop. You'll kill yourself." Her glowing eyes met his. "If I stop, we both die." The hunters roared, their voices a mix of static and broken metal. One leaped forward, claws raised. Liara raised her hand to block, but her light dimmed too fast. Daniel acted without thinking. He grabbed a thick branch from the ground and swung it with all his strength. The branch cracked against the hunter's head, sparks flying. The creature staggered back, clicking louder, its glowing veins flaring. Daniel's arms ached, but he tightened his grip. "I won, T, just watch." "I won't just run." For a heartbeat, Liara stared at him, surprised, almost moved. Then she smiled faintly. "Good," she whispered. Her glow surged again, brighter this time, wrapping both of them in light. The hunter screeched, stumbling back from the force. The clearing shook as Liara released another burst of energy. Daniel felt himself lifted, pulled forward as if carried by the light itself. The world blurred. The trees bent and vanished behind them, and then silence. They collapsed on a hill, far from the clearing. Daniel gasped for air, his chest burning. Liara lay beside him, her glow faint, her body trembling. "They will follow," she whispered weakly. "Always." Daniel stared at her, sweat dripping down his face. His body shook, but his voice was steady. "Then let them follow." "I'm not letting them take you." Liara turned her glowing eyes toward him, for the first time. They softened not with sadness, not with fear, but with something warmer. Then, perhaps, she whispered, "You are stronger than you know." The wind moved through the trees, carrying their heavy breaths into the night. The chase was not over. It had only just begun. The hill was quiet, but the silence felt heavy. Daniel sat in the grass, his chest still heaving, his hands scraped from the run. Beside him, Liara lay still, her glow faint, her breaths shallow. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The night stretched on, filled only with the sound of the wind moving through the trees. Finally, Daniel whispered, "You can't keep this up. Those things will never stop. They'll keep chasing until—" He couldn't finish the thought. Liara opened her eyes. Even dim, they glowed like deep oceans. "Yes," she said softly, "they will never stop. Because I am more than what you think I am." Daniel frowned. "What do you mean?" She pushed herself up slowly, sitting against the slope of the hill. Her voice was calm, but carried weight. "I was not only sent as a gift. I was sent as a test." Daniel froze. The words hung in the night, sharp and strange. "A test." Liara nodded. "My people are watching. They measure your kind through me. If you prove worthy, they will leave this world in peace. If you fail—" She looked away, her voice lowering. "They will come with armies, and Earth will burn." Daniel's breath caught. "Wait. You're saying all of this, me? You? Everything needs some kind of trial." Liara's glowing eyes met his again. "Yes, you were chosen. Your choices decide not only your fate, but the fate of your entire kind." Daniel's mind reeled. Him, chosen. He was nobody. A forgotten man in a forgotten corner of the world. He laughed bitterly, though it broke halfway through. "You've got the wrong person. I can't decide the fate of Earth. I can barely decide what to eat for dinner." Liara reached out, her glowing hand brushing his arm gently. "You think you are nothing. But to me, you are everything. And to them, you are the proof. They do not test leaders. They test the heart." Daniel's throat tightened. He wanted to argue, to tell her she was wrong, that humanity deserved someone better. But her touch calmed him, steadying his storm of thoughts. Still fear lingered. "And if I fail?" If I can't protect you? Lyra's eyes dimmed. Then, Earth dies with me. The words struck like knives. Daniel felt his stomach twist, his breath heavy. For the first time, he understood the full weight pressing on him. It wasn't just about him. It wasn't even just about her. It was about everyone. He stood, pacing across the grass. His hands shook. This isn't fair. I didn't ask for this. I didn't choose this. Lyra's voice was soft, almost sad. No one chooses their trial. The trial chooses them. Daniel stopped, staring up at the stars. Endless, infinite, cold. Somewhere out there, her people were watching, judging, waiting to see if he would fail. The thought made him furious. He turned back to Lyra, his voice sharp. So, I'm just some lab rat. Some game for your people. Lyra shook her head. Not a game. A chance. Few worlds are given one. Her words silenced him. A chance. One chance. Daniel sank back to the ground, running his hands through his hair. What do you want from me? What's the choice I'm supposed to make? Lyra leaned closer. The faint glow of her skin lit his face. The choice is simple, but heavy. Will you protect me even when fear tells you to run? Will you hold to hope even when death surrounds you? Will you choose love when hate is easier? Daniel stared at her, his chest tight. Love. Lyra smiled faintly. The strongest weapon your kind has. Stronger than war. Stronger than fear. That is what they want to see. If your heart holds it, Earth lives. If it does not, Earth ends. The night grew colder. Daniel shivered, though not from the wind. His mind swirled. He was no hero, no soldier. Just a man who had been forgotten by the world. But maybe that was the point. Maybe even the smallest person could decide the fate of many. He looked at Lyra again. Her glow was fading, her body trembling from exhaustion, yet her eyes still held strength, still held trust. Daniel's voice cracked, but it was steady. Then I choose. I won't run. I won't leave you. Whatever comes, I'll face it with you. Lyra's lips curved into the softest smile. Her glow brightened slightly, as if his words had given her strength. Then Earth may yet be safe. The ground shook as the hunters closed in. The night filled with their clicking voices, cold and sharp, echoing through the forest like the beating of iron hearts. Daniel stood beside Lyra, his fists clenched, his body trembling. Fear twisted inside him, but another fire burned there too. A fire he had never known before. Lyra's glow flickered weakly. She was tired, but her eyes still blazed with light. She looked at Daniel and whispered, "This is the final test." Daniel swallowed hard. Then we face it together. The hunters emerged from the shadows, 4 of them, tall and twisted, their glowing veins pulsing like red lightning. Their steps were heavy, breaking branches beneath them. Their eyes burned with cruel light, fixed on Lyra. Daniel's heart raced. He had no weapons, no powers, nothing but himself. But he stepped in front of Lyra anyway, planting his feet on the ground as if his small body could hold back the monsters. The hunters stopped, clicking louder, almost laughing. One raised its claw, the sharp metal gleaming under the moon. Lyra's voice was soft but strong behind him. "Daniel." They wait. They watch. "Show them your choice." Daniel's breath shook. He felt the weight of the stars above, of unseen eyes judging him. His mind screamed to run, but his heart whispered something louder. He turned slightly. Looking back at Lyra, her glowing eyes met his. In that moment, he knew. The choice wasn't about fighting or winning or surviving. It was about what he would stand for. And so, Daniel lifted his voice, steady and clear, though fear shook his body. "You can take me," he shouted at the hunters. but you will not take her. She's not your prisoner. She's not your prey. She's mine to protect, and I will protect her even if it kills me." The hunters froze. The clicking stopped. For the first time, silence spread across the clearing. Daniel stood tall, chest heaving, his eyes locked on theirs. He had nothing but his courage. Yet in that moment, it felt like enough. Behind him, Lyra's glow suddenly flared. Stronger, brighter, as if his words had awakened something deep within her. She rose to her feet, her silver skin burning like starlight, her voice carrying across the trees. "Do you see?" she cried, her voice echoing like thunder. "This is humanity. Fearful, yes. Fragile, yes. But still brave, still willing to choose love over death, still willing to give everything for another." The night sky above shifted. The stars shimmered strangely, as if bending. Daniel felt a pressure in the air, vast and invisible, watching. Listening, the hunters twitched, their glowing veins dimming. One by one, they stepped back. Their lights faded, their clicking fell silent, until they turned and vanished into the forest, swallowed by shadow. Daniel gasped, his knees giving out. He fell to the ground, his chest burning. They're gone. Liara's glow softened, wrapping him in gentle light. She knelt beside him, her hand on his shoulder. "Yes, you have passed." He looked at her, confusion mixing with relief. "Passed." Liara smiled faintly. "The trial is complete. My people have seen your choice. Earth will live." Daniel let out a shaky laugh, half tears, half disbelief. "I did it. I saved Earth." Liara touched his cheek gently, her glowing fingers warm. "You did more than that. You proved that even in loneliness, even in fear, a human heart can shine brighter than the stars." Daniel's chest tightened. Relief washed over him, but also sadness. "So, what happens now? Will you go back to them?" Lyra's smile faded slightly. She looked up at the sky, her glowing eyes reflecting the endless night. "My duty is complete. I can return, but..." She looked back at him, her voice soft. "I do not wish to leave." Daniel's breath caught. "You mean you'd stay with me?" Liara leaned closer, her silver hair falling like liquid light. "You gave me more than proof. You gave me a reason. You reminded me what it means to belong. If you will have me, I will stay." For a moment, Daniel could not speak. He thought of his small house, his lonely birthday, the life that had felt so empty. And then he thought of her, this strange, beautiful being who had fallen from the stars into his world, into his heart. His voice was quiet but steady. "Then stay." Lyra's glow brightened, not with power, but with warmth. She rested her forehead gently against his. "Then I am yours, not as a gift, not as a test, but as a choice." The night softened. The forest, once filled with hunters, now felt alive again, safe again. Above them, the stars shone brighter, as if approving. Daniel closed his eyes, breathing in the moment. For the first time in years, he did not feel forgotten. He did not feel alone. On his birthday, the universe had remembered him, and it had sent him not a gift, but a companion, a woman of starlight who chose him as he chose her. Together, they would face whatever came next.